Welcome to day 13 in the Atlantic Ocean, the Atlantic Hurricane season, day 30 in the Eastern Pacific, and of course the season runs year round in the Western Pacific, where we have two systems at the moment. Tropical Depression Yagi, which has weakened and is currently in the process of dissipating off the coast of Japan, and Invest 99W in the South China Sea. We also had Invest 93 until earlier today, when it was declassified by the National Hurricane Center earlier in the day. So we have the two systems, Yagi, which is pretty much ex-Yagi now, dissipating or dissipated at this point, currently with winds of 20 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, I believe, and Invest 99W, which is in the South China Sea, currently not organising at the moment near the Vietnam coast. And we also have the Atlantic Ocean here. You can see on the satellite imagery, not much going on in the wake of Andrea, which is now over the British Isles, well to the north in the Atlantic, and nothing else going on at the moment, not even in the way of tropical waves forming at the moment as well in the Atlantic, not yet. And the Indian Ocean here is also fairly quiet in the North Indian Ocean. That's the bit we're interested in at the moment. The Southern Indian Ocean is obviously very quiet at this time of year, and just a little bit of disturbances forming over there, but nothing, no serious contenders for development. Let's look at the sea surface temperatures and warmer temperatures now forming along the coast of Mexico, where temperatures are around 30 degrees or more. Same too for the coast of Louisiana, you saw there very quickly, around approaching 30 degrees now over there. And in the northern Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, warm waters here, 30 degrees or more. Same for the South China Sea, where Invest 99 is at the moment, and to the east of the Philippines as well, warm waters in particular here. So let's take a look at what was at Yagi. Now as a remnant low, really, with winds of 30 miles per hour and a pressure of 1004 millibars, but it's still going and is likely to move very, very slowly towards the east over the next few days, and that's why we have some warnings in effect for parts of Japan at the moment, southern parts of Japan, and offshore islands as well. And over the next 3 days you can see it's not expected to move much at all. So there could be lots of heavy rain falling and perhaps some flooding issues on the Itsu Islands in particular, offshore out near Japan. And heavy rain warnings in effect for Odawara and Hakone in Japan on the Japanese mainland, and gale advisories in effect for many of the other prefectures, including the Itsu Islands, where there's also some flooding advisories in effect here too, which isn't covered in the text there. So obviously winds is not so much of a concern now, but the rainfall is likely to be the biggest concern from Tropical Storm Yagi. Here it is. You can see only the low circulation really, not seeing too much in the way of powerful storm clouds that we see, which is typical with tropical storms and such, but there is still some cloud cover around the storm trying to wrap its way around, which may cause some rainfall over that area. And obviously with most of the clouds off to the east of the storm, that means that where the Itsu Islands are in Japan, that's likely to cause some rainfall there. You can see Invest 99W here at the moment, struggling to get itself together, remaining disorganised, and will probably remain disorganised over the next few days as models do not develop it as it moves possibly northwards in the South China Sea over the next few days. Let's take a look at the model runs then for what they're worth, because they're not really predicting much at the moment. The CMC doesn't predict anything, neither in terms of Invest 93 regenerating or anything going on in the Atlantic or elsewhere. The ECMWF very much the same, not really seeing anything at all forming out of that one, except perhaps a very little disturbance towards the end of that run there in the Eastern Pacific to the south of Mexico, but nothing really in terms of tropical development. The GFS very similar as well. You can see here not much going on, just a bit of low pressure offshore Mexico, which is probably consistent with the time of year, with it being the tropics and all, and so not much in terms of development of tropical storms over the next 5 days in the Eastern Pacific or in the Atlantic. So it seems we have a bit of a quiet period for this region, at least for the time being, which isn't too rare in June, at least in the Atlantic. Let's take a look then at the overall predicted season scores for June the 13th so far. Obviously no change because no storms have formed or gained a different intensity. So Ken remains first with 108, Typhoon Roper with 101, and Hurricane Melissa 20 with 99 points, the top three there at the moment. You can submit your own storm totals at force13.com/interactive. It's certainly not too late at this stage, but the points do go down throughout the year incrementally. going down throughout the year. So the earlier the better, really, because it's more skillful to predict earlier, especially if you're accurate. So on this day, what happened June the 13th? In 1965, Tropical Depression 1 reached the Gulf of Mexico after crossing Central America from the Pacific side. In 1968, Hurricane Abby dissipated near Virginia. In 1982, Tropical Depression 3 formed in the Eastern Pacific. And in 1983, Hurricane Barbara peaked as a Category 4 storm in the Eastern Pacific. On this day in 1984. In 85, Hurricane Blanca peaked as a Category 3 storm in the Eastern Pacific. In 97, Opal formed in the Western Pacific, not to be confused with Hurricane Opal in 2 years prior. And in 2000, Tropical Storm Bud formed in the Eastern Pacific. And in 2005, Tropical Storm Arlene dissipated over the United States. In the record-breaking 05 season, the first storm of that year, dissipating on June the 13th. And don't forget, you can track any storm that forms, including what will be left of Yagi, and indeed Invest 99W and any other storm that may form on the Force 13 website. force13.com/storm-tracking.html will take you straight to the storm tracking page, and from there you can go further in depth, basin by basin, where you can see the information available, and of course the warning information, which is all important for those in the path of the storm, and indeed the storm track over the next 3 to 5 days, depending on how long the storm is expected to last. And of course you can see us on you can track us if you wish, on the social pages as we track the storms. You can track us on the social pages, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Just search Force 13, you should find us easily enough. And don't forget to show your support by liking, following, subscribing, favoriting, doing whatever else you wish to support Force 13 as we track the storms throughout the year. Your support is very important, and I very much thank you for doing so. As ever, the next bulletin will be online at the same time tomorrow. That would be the morning of the June the 14th at around midnight UTC. Don't miss it.